Well, hi there, everyone. I've got another favorites video compilation for you today. The theme this time is rice. And I'm going to link to all of the original videos down below, and that's where you will find the written recipes is in the description boxes of the original videos. So here are 5 delicious rice dishes, and pretty much all of them are going to be dump and go recipes. They are just add water meals. First of all, I'll show you my broccoli rice and cheese with chicken. This one is from my mom's recipe box. Y'all love the recipes that come from her recipe box. It's definitely a classic. Next will be a mushroom beef and rice skillet meal. It's very savory. It's super filling. If you don't like mushrooms, I think you could make this one with a different vegetable like zucchini, and I think it would be fantastic. I'll also show you my recipe for Mexican rice. It's such a great side dish for anything Tex-Mex. I live in Texas, so this is the kind of rice that I get at the Tex-Mex restaurants around me. Then I'll show you a really yummy stuffed pepper soup. And the rice in here is going to make it nice and starchy and thick. And finally, I've got a recipe for a cheesy green chili rice with pulled pork. It's also wonderful with freeze-dried chicken. All of these delicious rice recipes are going to make your dinner time easy peasy. They're all ready in 30 minutes or less. Welcome to the Freeze-Dried Foodie. My name's Kareth. Here you'll find delicious recipes that feature freeze-dried ingredients. Now, I use a lot of Thrivalist, but they've gone out of business, and you can use other brands in my recipes. Lots of us have food stores that we need to know how to cook with. On this channel, I'll show you how I cook with mine. All right, first up, a recipe for broccoli rice and cheese with chicken casserole. My mom always made this casserole at Thanksgiving and at Christmas. So it was kind of a special thing for our family because we didn't have it very often, even though we loved it. Her recipe included either a can of cream of chicken soup or a can of cream of mushroom soup. I'm going to substitute out those flavors with different things. I'm also including an optional buttercracker topping, which is fantastic. If you don't want to do that, you could always do what my mom used to do, which was to top this casserole with some extra grated cheddar cheese, and then she would broil it at the end. So that is delicious as well. I've got some really yummy seasonings that we're going to add to this to make this a delicious casserole. I start with a quart-sized jar because I am making 3 servings of this. If you wanted to only make 1 or 2, you could definitely cut this in half and use a pint-sized jar. I'm starting with an uncooked medium grain rice. You could use a long grain rice or jasmine or a basmati. And then to that, I'm going to add the broccoli. Broccoli is so good. The cheddar, I always blitz it in the blender because it melts a lot better. My mom always put celery and onions in her casserole, and so I'm including 1/4 cup of celery. I like to crush that because I think the pieces are just too big the way it comes in the can. I like to crush it or put it in the blender. I'm using 2 types of onions, but you could use all of one or the other. I'm including 3 tablespoons of the Thrivalist velouté sauce, which is like a thick, rich chicken gravy. Don't worry too much if you don't have that velouté sauce from Thrivalist, because at this point in time, I have copycat recipes on my channel for all 5 of the Thrivalist sauce mixes. So I've got the velouté, which is the chicken gravy, the espagnole, which is the beef gravy, bechamel, the white sauce, the tomato, and the cheese sauces. So just look on my channel for that. As far as seasonings go, I've got salt, pepper, garlic powder, parsley, and some dry mustard. Now, I'm not putting too much salt in here just because the chicken bouillon powder that I put in there has some salt in there, as well as the velouté sauce. Isn't that just a lovely jar? And this is what you would store on your pantry shelf. And if you want to include the optional cracker topping, just make sure you have a sleeve of those butter crackers alongside it. And when you're ready to prepare it, you'll get out a large skillet. And this is a very easy recipe. Again, it's a just add water recipe. I call them a dump and go recipe. It's super simple. You dump the ingredients into the skillet, add the water, give it a good stir. I used about 3.5 cups of water. I figured out that it really depends on your elevation as to how much water and how long it takes to cook this stuff. So for me here in South Texas, I use 3.5 cups of water. So what I did was I brought this up to a boil over medium heat, then cover it and don't peek. Leave it alone for like 20 minutes and let that rice cook. Meanwhile, in a separate skillet, I melted 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter. And if you'll just cook it a couple of minutes longer, leave it on medium heat, let it cook a little bit longer, and this is what happens. The milk solids in the butter, they will brown, and the flavor is so good. It's this kind of intense, nutty flavor. Oh, y'all, it's so good. If you'll take just a couple of extra minutes to brown your butter, you will not be sorry. It's worth it. When it gets browned, pull it off the heat and then add your crushed butter crackers. I crushed them in the sleeve and I used 2 of the mini sleeves. You could use 1 full sleeve if that's what you have. But just give it a good stir. Make sure all those crackers are completely coated in that yummy brown butter, and then set it aside. It's ready. And after about 20 minutes of cooking time on low heat, this is what your broccoli, rice, and cheese casserole will look like. The rice will be completely tender and it will have absorbed so much of that liquid. Your sauce will be nice and thick. And yeah, there's your broccoli, rice, and cheese casserole with chicken. And like I said, if you don't want to include the chicken in here, it doesn't need it. You can just leave it out. I really enjoyed it because it made a complete meal for us. We had this with just a side salad and it was fantastic. I like leaving the cracker topping separate because it stays crunchy, and also people can add just as much as they like to their serving. It's so delicious. I think, oh, if you try this, you're gonna love it. I think my mama would be proud. All right, y'all, up next is my mushroom beef and rice skillet. Today's recipe is for another meal in a jar. This one is for mushroom beef and rice. It is so good. Now, you can use any kind of beef you want. You could use the beef dices, the ground beef, or I've got shredded beef here. Any of that would be really good. The sauces that we're going to put in here, the Espanol sauce, is so delicious, y'all. And the beef bouillon, that butter is going to make it luxurious. I've got a couple kinds of onions we're going to add, and of course some garlic, chef's choice, and then Parmesan because we can, and it's delicious. So not too many ingredients to put in here, but it is not short on flavor. You're going to start with a quart-sized jar because this is going to have 4 servings. You need to start with 1 cup of just uncooked medium grain white rice. And then to that, you're going to add a cup of mushrooms, a cup of beef, any kind of beef you like. I'm including some onion slices. You could totally do the chopped onions if you prefer that. And then green onions as well. Here comes that Parmesan. It's got this salty bite to it that's just kind of a different flavor addition, and it's very good in there. You can give it a little shaky, and it'll kind of settle those ingredients. So we've got the Espanol, and then here's that butter powder and the beef bouillon powder. I do recommend using Thrivalist beef bouillon because it's full of flavor but not full of salt. If you use a different brand, you might cut that amount in half. There we have some garlic and parsley. These are just regular seasonings, kosher salt, pepper, and chef's choice. That's an all-purpose seasoning that Thrivalist has. Okay, so I just wanted to show you it fits in the jar very nicely. If you're going to store this for a while, you should put in an oxygen absorber probably, and then your lid and your ring, and that's it. See how quick this comes together? I probably spent 5 minutes, and I was filming, so it does not take very long to make. You could definitely make several of these at once, and you would probably be done in 7-8 minutes. I'm telling you what, it's a delicious recipe. It's a great gift to give as well because it's really simple to prepare. This is a just add water recipe. Okay, when you're ready to prepare this, you'll just get out a large pot or a deep skillet, something with a lid, a tight-fitting lid, because we need to cook this rice. Get rid of that O2 absorber and just dump the whole thing into the skillet. You only need 3 cups of water total, and that's because this is a rice dish. This is not a soup or a stew. This is a rice dish, so you don't need a lot of liquid here. You just need enough to cook the rice and make the sauce, and about 3 cups is all you need. You want to give it a good stir and just kind of make sure that the espagnole sauce and the bouillon powder have come in contact with the water. And that's about it. You'll go ahead and turn your heat on to like medium high or something like that, because you want to bring this up to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, give it one more stir. Just kind of make sure your rice is not sticking to the bottom, and then turn down that heat and get your lid on there. You're going to cook this for 20 minutes, no peeking. You have to let the rice steam. If you peek, it lets the heat out and it might give you crunchy rice. So leave it alone, let it cook on low for 20 minutes. And this is what you have when you're finished. It's nice and thick. There's not too much water in there, see, but there's enough to cook the ingredients and give you a nice brown gravy flavor. It's so good, y'all. If you like a very flavorful rice with a brown gravy on the top, I think you'll like this, because that is the flavor we get from that espagnole sauce, that beef bouillon, and those onions. It's a very good dish. It's not skimpy on flavor, it's full of flavor. Now, I love using our shredded beef, but if you're new to Thrive Life and you don't have any of that, I think the beef dices would be great because they're like little steak bites. When I was creating these recipes, Thrive Life was my go-to company. I mean, they had virtually everything I needed. And now that they've closed, I'm slowly finding replacements for these freeze-dried ingredients. I'll include my links down below. All right, up next is my Mexican rice. Today's recipe is another installment of my Side in a Jar series. This one is for Mexican rice. Now, I live in South Texas, and I am very used to getting yummy Mexican rice at any local Tex-Mex restaurant around me. I have probably 20 Mexican restaurants within a 5-mile radius of my house. And this is exactly the rice that I get at any of those restaurants. It's super easy to make, and you can make it at home with freeze-dried ingredients. So let's get started. I'm going to make about 4 or 5 servings of the rice today. I'm going to put this in a pint-sized jar. You're going to start with 1 1/4 cups of uncooked medium grain rice. I'm sure long grain rice would work as well, but just so it's uncooked. And you just need about a tablespoon of carrots and a 1/4 cup of our green peas. That is just a traditional Tex-Mex way of making Mexican rice. They act almost as a garnish. In this baggie, we are going to make what's going to turn into a tomato sauce. And all you need is 1 tablespoon of our tomato powder, along with some other seasonings and garlic and onions. Mexican rice is not complicated. There aren't really a lot of ingredients in it. It's delicious, but it's pretty straightforward. What makes the biggest difference is the cooking technique. So go ahead and seal up that baggie and get it in your jar. That needs to stay separate. We're going to prepare that separately. You'll see in just a minute. It's not hard, but it does need to stay separate. So go ahead and put an oxygen absorber in there, and you can store this on your pantry shelf for a very long time. And there you have it. That is Mexican rice in a jar. This is just as easy to prepare as one of those box mixes or bags that you get on your grocery store shelf, except this one, you know exactly what you're putting in it, and it's simple and delicious flavors. No need for any weird preservatives or additives. This is going to give you amazing flavor. And when you're ready to prepare it, just get out a medium-sized pot and get that heat going on it. You need to preheat your pot because we are going to saute the rice first. We're going to get some color on it. We're going to get some flavor going. So when you open up your jar, go ahead and remove that little baggie. Set it to the side. We'll use it in just a minute. First, get your rice mixture in your pot and stir it immediately. You need to coat all of those rice grains in the oil. And we're just wanting to toast that a bit. Leave it on medium heat. It needs to get some color on it. Meanwhile, let's make the tomato sauce. So into the carafe of your blender, add 2.5 cups of water and the contents of the baggie. This is going to turn into the tomato sauce, or the liquid that we're going to add to the rice. Get that good and blended. And that's it. That's all you have to do there. Just set that to the side and wait. Once your rice is nice and toasted and has some color on it, add that tomato sauce, or the liquid, to the rice. Give it a really good stir and bring that back to a boil. You need to return that to a boil. It's still on medium heat. As soon as you get it back to a boil, go ahead and stir it one more time, and then cover that with a tight-fitting lid and reduce your heat all the way down to low. We're going to simmer this for 20 minutes. Don't peek, okay? Don't lift the lid. You need to let that rice steam. It needs to cook. All right, and after 20 minutes, this is what your rice will look like. It will be completely tender. Those vegetables will be nice and rehydrated and cooked through. The seasonings will have permeated that rice and just given it amazing flavor. It should be nice and fluffy. You can go ahead and taste this and adjust your seasonings if you need to. Mine was perfect. And there you have it. This is Mexican rice. You can serve it alongside any type of Mexican dish. We had it with some quesadillas. Up next is a recipe for some stuffed pepper soup. And if you prefer this in casserole form, I have that recipe up on my channel as well. Some people call it an unstuffed pepper soup, but this recipe is based on a soup that I really enjoy at a local restaurant. We're going to start out with a quart-sized jar because I want to do 4 or 5 servings of this, but this is easily cut in half. If you only want 2 or 3 servings, you could cut all of the ingredients in half and then put it in a pint-sized jar. Now, I always start off by blitzing my ground beef in the blender. I pulse my ground beef in the blender because I like the texture much better. It refreshes a lot faster, and I just don't like the little nuggets it comes in, to be honest. So I always put them in the blender, just a few pulses. Now I'm adding 1/2 cup of uncooked raw medium grain white rice. You can use the Thrivalist instant rice if you like, but it will get a little bit mushy on you. So I like the texture of the raw rice, and then I like to just cook it in the soup so it takes on a really great flavor. And you saw me add some of that tomato sauce from Thrivalist, and I do have copycat recipes on my channel, so if you need to make that yourself, you can. It's basically tomato powder, some milk, cornstarch, and seasonings. I'm putting 2 kinds of peppers in here, both the red and the green bell peppers, as well as zucchini, celery. We're going to put 2 kinds of onions and carrots in here as well. There's a lot of food going in this jar, so every once in a while just stop and press it down. Here are the seasonings that the cook at Gigi's Cafe said that she uses: salt, pepper, and thyme, as well as onion powder, garlic powder, and just a tiny pinch of cayenne. You can always eliminate that if you don't want that in your soup. It doesn't really make it spicy, but it does add a little bit of heat in the background, just a little bit. I decided I wanted to add some Parmesan to this because I really like the salty bite that the Parmesan gives. I love garlic. I put garlic in mostly everything I make. Now, once again, I'm going to kind of shake this, press it down, make some more room in the top, but it's easily done because of the freeze-dried ingredients. There's a lot of give to those, so you can really fit quite a few things in these jars. Okay, and there are my onions and my carrots. I kind of forgot to put those in earlier. As you're layering your jar, you want to put some things that have bulk and then some powdered things to fill in the gaps. And that's, you just kind of go back and forth, and that's how you end up fitting everything into the jar. This is going to keep on your shelf for a long time if you put that oxygen absorber in there. And isn't it lovely? So that is what you would store on your pantry shelf. And when you're ready to prepare it, you'll get out a large soup pot. My pot was just not big enough. I should have gotten a bigger pot. I sort of ran out of room. Once you get the contents of your jar into your pot, you're going to need to add 7 cups of water. I didn't even have room for all 7. I started out with 6 and then I added a 7th cup later on. But yeah, you do need quite a bit of water if you're going to use raw rice and cook the rice in there. And I'm going to go ahead and stir this as I'm bringing it to a boil. I stirred it a couple of times. Once you bring this to a boil, give it a stir and turn down your temperature to low because we're going to cook the rice, and you need to cover it, a tight fitting lid, and let it simmer for 20 minutes on low with no peaking. That rice needs to cook. And then after 20 minutes of cook time, this is what you have. My rice did stick just a tad on the bottom, but not too much. It came up easily as I stirred it. But you can see that it's sort of too thick. Well, for my preferences, I like my soup a little soupier. And so I added an extra cup of water. So that was a total of 7 cups of water that I added to this. Go ahead and give it a taste and adjust your seasonings. I ended up putting some salt, and then I added some brown sugar. I added 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now this is optional, but it's just something that I enjoy the flavor of the sweet pepper, and this brings out the flavor of the sweet pepper. It doesn't make it really a sweet soup. It just kind of rounds out the flavor and gives it a fantastic finish. At Gigi's Corner Cafe, they serve their soup with some saltine crackers, and I thought that was delicious. I had mine with a salad and some saltines, and it was just perfect. We enjoyed it so much, and I'm so thankful to bring this recipe to you today. I hope you give it a try. Let me know what you think in the comments. I might have just saved my best recipe for last. This one is a definite favorite, my cheesy green chili rice with pulled pork, or also you could use chicken. This dish is especially tasty, and I think that comes from the combination of the cheese sauce and the chilies and jalapenos that I put in here, as well as the seasonings, of course. So this dish can be served as a side dish, but I like it as main dish, so I'm going to add some pulled pork to it. You could use chicken, you could use any kind of freeze-dried meat. My preference is that medium grain rice. I have been able to get that at Walmart for years, but you could use long grain or basmati or jasmine, whatever kind of rice you like, you can use in this dish. It will work. Now I'm going to be serving 4 people. So I've got a quart-sized jar, and I'm going to make enough to serve 4. But if you only want to serve 2, then just cut all these measurements in half and put it in a pint-sized jar. That would totally work. So you'll start with some raw uncooked rice in the bottom of the jar. And then to that, I'm going to be adding some green chili peppers. I love them. They're so good in this dish. The flavor that these green chilies bring to the meal is unique. And if you have had Hatch green chilies before, you know what I'm talking about. They're not too spicy with heat, but they are full of flavor. Now, like I mentioned, I like to make this into a main dish. So my preference here is the pulled pork. But not everybody likes pork. Not everybody has pork. And not everybody is comfortable with using the pulled pork in a meal in a jar. And that's because Thrive Life always said, if you don't use this within a couple of weeks, then you need to freeze it or refrigerate it at least. So I understand people might be hesitant to use this as a meal in a jar. I'm comfortable with it, but that is up to you. Like food safety, you do your due diligence and do what you need to do. I'm going to use pulled pork, and then I'm going to vacuum seal that, and I don't have a problem with it. But if you want to, you could always make this up and leave it in the fridge. Like I said, you could definitely use chicken. You could substitute chicken if that makes you feel better. Okay, now to that, I'm going to add some sauce powders. And honestly, I should have added those sauce powders before I added the pork because I have a hard time fitting everything into the jar. So I kind of had to finagle it and push it down a little bit with a spoon. And don't forget, I do have a copycat recipe for that cheese sauce mix on my channel. Just hit the videos tab and you can search for that cheese sauce. Also, since I filmed this video, I have had a difficult time finding a supplier for the powdered sour cream. Y'all let me know if you know of a good one. All of these things here are going to make for a very tasty sauce for that rice to cook in. Add the freeze-dried garlic, add the freeze-dried green onions, or you could use white onions. That right there was some chicken bouillon, and then I've just got some other seasonings like cracked black pepper and some salt. I'm also going to be adding my very favorite all-purpose seasoning, which is the Goya brand adobo seasoning. It's got garlic, salt and pepper, turmeric, oregano, and some other stuff. It's just really good. I get that at Walmart. What I did, and I think it fits better in the jar and cooks up better, is I took that freeze-dried cheese, and that's a mix of cheddar and pepper jack, freeze-dried of both, and I put them in my blender cup and I pulsed them in the blender. And that way I can get more in the top of that jar. And press that down, get as much as you can in there, and then you can put on your lid and your ring. Now, if you're gonna store this long term, definitely wipe down your rims, y'all. I don't really show that on my channel, but do that if you're gonna store it long term. And then get yourself a lid on there. If you're gonna store it long term, probably either an oxygen absorber, or I am a big fan of the vacuum sealing. I just really like to do that these days, so that's what I typically do. All right, whenever you're ready to make this, you'll need to get out a large skillet or a large pot, something kind of big, just because we'll put that entire mason jar full of ingredients in here, that's 4 cups right there, and then we're gonna add 4.5 cups of water. So you need something big enough to hold that amount of food. And then some extra room, of course, because it will expand as it cooks. After you get the water in there, just take a minute and stir. This is super simple, nothing complicated. Give it a good stir, get some heat going, and as it heats, those sauce powders, they will dissolve. And stir it from the bottom every once in a while. You just want to make sure as the cheese that's in this dish, as it melts, that it's not sticking to the bottom. Once you reach a bubble, you can turn down the heat. I ended up at a 1.5 out of 10 on my stove, so that's low. And you want to cook this dish on low and covered. I think most rices these days, like most white rice, you add probably twice as much liquid as you add rice, and then you bring it to a boil, you put a lid on it, and then it cooks for 20 minutes undisturbed, like no peeking, covered for 20 minutes. And that's the way this dish is going to cook as well. So cover that and leave it alone, no peeking allowed. All right, after 20 minutes, you can lift off that lid, and this is what your dish should look like. So 20 minutes is perfect for my medium grain rice to get nice and tender. And see, it's still bubbling there. You still have maintained that heat. Even though it was on a 1.5 out of 10, it's still good and bubbly in there. Go ahead and give it a really good stir. I've got a wooden spoon, and that's a stainless steel pan. And just use some elbow grease here. Give that a really good scrape. And get up just as much of that melted cheese off the bottom of the pan as you can and incorporate that into the dish. That is flavor. And you want that flavor in your rice and not stuck on the bottom of the pan. So if you'll notice, if you can see there, I don't know if you can see, but I got most of that up off the bottom, and now it's in my rice. Now is a good time to taste test, and you just want to make sure that your seasonings are right. Mine were spot on, and y'all, I like flavorful food. I do not do bland. It's just a waste of calories to me. So mine is nice and flavorful. I didn't have to add anything. Now this part is totally optional, but you can add some shredded cheese. I added Colby Jack because I had it in the fridge. It was available. I put the lid back on it. The stove was off, but I put the lid back on it and let it sit for like 3 or 4 minutes and it's melted. Now, if you want to really be extra, you can put that under the broiler for 3 or 4 minutes and just get a little bit of browning on that cheese. That's what I did here, but this is optional. This whole thing is optional. Like, you don't have to do any of it. If you leave off the cheese, it's still going to be a fantastic dish. It smells amazing in my kitchen at this point. The combination of the chili peppers and the jalapenos and the garlic, the cheese, it just smells so good. If you enjoy cooking with freeze-dried foods, please consider owning my cookbooks. They're both available on Amazon in paperback and as a digital download on my website, thefreezedriedfoodie.com. I'll link to both below. If you own freeze-dried food and want to be able to cook delicious meals with it, then you'll love having my cookbooks. They're loaded with completely shelf-stable meals and mixes. And although I wrote the recipes with Thrive Life ingredients in mind, you can use any brand, including home freeze-dried foods. All right, back to the recipe. It should be ready to serve up now, and we like to serve this just with either a side salad or maybe some veggies and ranch, something like that. You don't need that much. You can also just eat this with nothing else and it would still be wonderful. The rice is fantastic. The sauce that's in the rice is fantastic. The meat is so tender. Those green chilies and jalapenos, they're wonderful. It's slightly spicy, but not overly spicy. If you want more spice, just add more of the jalapenos, more of the freeze-dried jalapenos. So this dish is really customizable according to your tastes. And let me tell you, the pulled pork in here is fantastic. But I also think that pulled chicken that I got from freeze-dry wholesalers, that would be wonderful in here. I think the Thrive Life chicken slices would be great. Like, just so many things you could try. If you want to make this into a side dish, all you have to do is leave out the protein and maybe cut back on the water by, I don't know, half a cup or so, and it would be fantastic like that. Yeah, so here we are. I just wanted to give this a taste. And let me tell you, I kind of hurried through the pictures in order to eat this because I was so hungry at this point. It was like past lunchtime and I was ready. I was ready to eat. And I had, licked that spoon and tasted a little bit when I was adjusting the seasonings. And I just thought, oh my word, I can't wait to dive in. This is a really yummy dish. Now, a lot of people, when they make this, they'll make this as a layered dish. And this is what they do. Originally, I think people would make rice and then they would add sour cream to their rice. And then they would put that kind of in a layer in the bottom of a dish. And they would put a bunch of grated cheese or cubed cheese in a layer and then add the rest of the rice and more cheese and bake it. And so I think that's how, like, the old cookbooks, the old church cookbooks from a long time ago, I think that's how people made this rice originally. But I thought, why not turn it into a meal in a jar? Why not use freeze-dried ingredients? All of these things I have in freeze-dried form, and I can make this as a shelf-stable meal. I might as well. And let me just tell you, it turned out amazing. I can't wait for y'all to try it. I think you're gonna love it. Well, okay, guys, thank y'all so much for watching. I so appreciate you and your support of my channel. I'd ask you to hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and then leave me a comment down below, because that always helps my channel to grow. Here's a scripture verse for you for today. It comes from Psalm 145, verse 14. It reads, "The Lord upholds all who are falling and raises up all who are bowed down." All right, y'all. I hope you have a blessed day and a wonderful week. And until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.